All right.
Awesome.
Now we're ready.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. It's 11. It's still morning. Jenna, thank you so much for joining us. Excited to kind of talk through some action items today, some things that we can follow, like true things that we can follow up on with potentially supporting some of the local growers based on some conversations that we've had. So just for everybody in Zoom world, right? My name is Nicole Dubie. I'm the co-chair of the Economic Development Group. I also am the owner of Dubie's Farm and Market and Access to Fresh. Savannah, let you introduce yourself.
I'm Savannah with Homegrown Hillsborough, and I am kind of the administrator of the working groups.
Hey everyone, it's Amanda. I'm with the City of Tampa, and I am on the Economic Development Working Group.
I think Elizabeth is driving.
And then Elizabeth's on as well, and then Jenna, we know you, but you're welcome to do an introduction as well.
Hello, I'm Jenna Kazmarski. I am a registered dietitian consultant and do farm to school work in the state of Florida and try to regularly attend economic development working group meetings.
That's awesome. Happy to have you again, for sure. So one of the big things we want to look at today is we had some conversation with Georgia last meeting. I had a follow-up meeting with her as well, where we really talked through some of the programs that the other groups were doing, so food production and food access, and some of the issues within the mainly transportation of items, storage of items, and how we can really support increased production. So there's two folds there. One is the storage that's needed, so refrigeration storage. The second is the updates to the farm that would be needed. So when we talked, I suggested she do them as two separate things and really think about which one does she need the most, right? So she's already in production, but she's struggling with storing products. So we don't want to start producing more and then still have storage issues. So our meeting with her, we talked about what types of refrigeration. We've been on site. The site that she's on is a rented spot. So we talked about movable refrigeration. Hey. So we talked about removable refrigeration, and the kind of the consensus for her was that the removable refrigeration or portable mobile refrigeration would support not just her, but other growers and allow her to kind of be like a hub. And she already has a community outlet with her farm store. So we wanted to take a look at the budget she sent over and kind of get everybody's opinion on that. So probably wait to do that till Elizabeth gets here in person, just so we can kind of go through line by line. Amanda, you had that budget. Did you get it in the email as well, right?
Yes, I did.
All of us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. I'll pull it up.
Someone just.
I think we forwarded it to you, but I think Elizabeth forwarded it to you, and if not, I can forward it right now. Yeah, because it's in a link. Perfect. So she did a proposal draft, and then Janine, were you on this email?
I don't think so.
I'm going to forward it to you now so you can just open it up. If you need access, I think she gave access to everybody. Yeah, you weren't. Okay, perfect. Okay. So there's a mobile refrigerated draft proposal, and then so kind of why she needs the trailer. So stating the case, and through the conversation. So I also had a conversation with Dee, and it was confirmed like it was very, very difficult to do even the smaller scale CSA for the community outreach event that was for food access. Yeah, so for food access. So this will really help everybody in the network and help us meet the economic goals of them being able to grow more. So a couple of questions I was thinking about is the one question I have to follow up with her on is the towing capacity of the current vehicles that they own. We were talking about, she said they can tow, but when I stepped back a little bit, when you fill a trailer with produce, it's very, very heavy.
Yeah.
But if she only moving greens and plants to the markets, she might not be moving cases of oranges or potatoes, which are going to be 50 pounds. Whereas, so that as I was thinking through what we still need to make sure that she has everything that's needed to even tow the trailer, I mean, so it would be mobile storage, what the towing capacity is on her vehicle. It's just a random thought that I had from a question to ask her.
And even just like having it on site,
Mhm.
and then a future project for her could be getting a larger vehicle, but like being able to just have a refrigerated trailer on site is still definitely a
very,
benefit.
yeah, it's not a game changer. It's more just for
Yeah.
like
It's a-
her knowledge of
Right,
like,
don't break your
because
car.
my husband, I think we can tow everything. Like I fill the
Yeah.
trailer all up, and he's like, the truck is barely like moving.
Yeah.
But it was just something I thought about. But I thought her proposal was really good. If we want to just take a minute and kind of look through that. I know she said she might try to join today, but I know the farm stand's open. So.
Is there any specific part of the proposal you just kind of want to?
Yeah, just to give everybody time if they haven't to look through it. So some of the big things is that she saw increased loss, right? Because they didn't have refrigeration. Was I explaining to her like greens stored in water in a cooler last for like 10 days, right?
Wow.
So if not even longer. So in that size cooler, she will be able to keep it at that 45, 50 degrees, which is ideal. And that's mainly what she grows. And what we talked about, as we talked about getting to grow more herbs for the other like potential, we're looking in the future of partnerships. Herbs are the same thing. They're easy, quick, big bunches, big bunches to harvest. And if you store them in refrigeration and water, they last a really long time. So this is kind of the things we went through. I talked to her about like extended tongue on the trailer. One of the things I wanted to look at, so she did not put in here core build specifications. So she did not have the solar batteries to power it. So that will be an edit that's needed. And we'll look at her budget too. So she definitely wants to do solar batteries versus a generator. And I highly recommend that from a funding standpoint. It is very like the way ours is, it would be a $25,000 cost to get solar batteries. So this one's a lot smaller. And she'll use those solar batteries for other things if she needed to, if there is a hurricane or something like that. It's just a lot lighter, easier to transport. So definitely the solar batteries will be an added need there in the proposed solution and the specs. And I love it, they can potentially be that aggregation hub where Nick has a couple things, Dee has a couple things, Coalition of Community Garden has some things, and really building that out as a model for them because their location is in a great location. So, okay. Does anybody else have any feedback on her proposal or thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought her proposal was great. And I was looking at the budget that she had. I think we got to kind of go through that. It's the separate file in that link that she sent us. Just because she only has the cost for the CoolBot unit. And I think we need to really figure out the cost for all the other components just so we can move forward with planning like how we're going to do that networking vet if we have excess funds for that and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's my only feedback is that I don't really have a good understanding of how much it's going to cost.
Right. And we had gone through a lot of these costs on the call with her. So let me.
She even has battery bank on this one, so.
Yeah, she does. And I know from that, the city, we just launched a WeatherWise program that we can, unfortunately, Georgia will not qualify for because it's for-profit businesses only, but for the in Silver Springs and West Tampa where they can get a solar power battery bank, and we'll reimburse them for it, but the cost for that is typically around $1,700 for that one at least. I don't know if it's the same specs that you would need for the one that you guys are talking about, but
And do you know what the power like capacity was of that one?
hold on, I can look it up real quick.
Okay.
You can send it the link to this lookbook in the chat too, so everyone has access to it. And then it is on page 13 of the link I just sent. And then it says a 5,000 watt battery with 400 watt solar. And it says it's enough for mini fridges, charging power tools.
So it might be enough. The only thing I wonder is that AC sometimes pulls a lot, but it's a smaller AC unit that she would need.
This bigger one says portable air
perfect.
conditioning.
Yeah.
So maybe more like this one.
Yeah.
With continuous operation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
So the 5,000.
Yeah, and someone just applied for this reimbursement. I think their total was 1,600 on Amazon for this.
For the 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then
for
she
this
would need
product.
she would need a backup battery for it too, I think, just for the time. So we can look at what that. And then I'm looking at the enclosed trailer right now. We'll do a.
Should I put numbers on this, or is this?
If you can edit it, it wasn't letting.
Oh, no, it's you only.
Okay, so.
Oh yeah, it doesn't let you. I'll keep track separately, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we went through this with her because that's how we knew that it was kind of it would align with the budgets, right?
Okay.
So let me just get some of this real quick.
I'm sorry she doesn't have these numbers. I would think maybe she has on another document and she just didn't transfer it to this one. I know that happens. Yeah, she has all this built out. This is cool though.
Yeah, so a 5x8, and I would probably recommend a double axle. So they're all really 6x12, which would be way too big for her car. All right, so she would just be a single axle. Okay, so I'd say if we're doing low and high, you could do, let's say 4, and I can put, I probably need this in here. I'm just going to start a thing with the links just so I'll just put it in the email because I think like in an email we can all get after, just makes it, and then we can put that in the document for her. So Florida Trailer Solutions, since she's a nonprofit, would be a tax exempt, so we shouldn't have tax on that. With the extended tongue and the flat front, I would say the high would be 5,500, the low would be 4,000. Because I would really caution her to not purchase something used, just if we have, because axles within the trailers and different things, if we do have the funding available to support that, it would make sense to do it.
Well, just with that, we're at 7,000, so it's gonna get up there
Quick.
yeah. But I mean, my opinion, I do think that doing something like this is kind of more valuable for the network than having maybe a networking event. I think it should be my opinion is that I would prioritize something like this over the networking event.
And
I think there's other ways we can bring the community together
Let me see what we have.
I didn't see on this proposal, as far as like, is this just related to like startup costs or also maintenance costs and staffing?
So just the equipment costs. Yep. That would be another proposal to increase production, right? So increased production would have the additional staffing costs and things like that. Let me see here. Let me see if we can find. Maybe we do. Let's see what we can find. So why don't we maybe move that down, Amanda, to 2,500, and then the max would be 4,000. I think we can find something within that range. And that's the only one that's going to have that bigger range. But maybe she can find something that is newly, lightly used.
Me and my daughter, we volunteered at her at Sustainable Living Project not too long ago, and I think she was mentioning, if I remember correctly, that she's been borrowing somebody in her family's trailer, and she was like thinking about buying that. So I don't know if that would stop her from having to buy one, or if she still needs to buy one or not. I don't know, like the specifics there.
I feel like when we talked about that, yeah, I think she should just purchase one versus that one's a lot older, and the reliability of it. So I think she still would need to purchase one. Yeah. And then the AC unit, let me just go in real quick because that'll be easy to find. For some reason, I thought those numbers were in there when I looked.
So is this the only proposal that we have? Sorry, I've been kind of.
That's okay. Yeah, so far, I mean, this is kind of like a guided proposal based on the need of the working groups and kind of the things that we've heard, like themes that we've heard multiple times based on some of the events that they've held. So this is like the only proposal so far.
That's come to us.
We didn't put out a request or anything,
Got it.
I'd say for the AC, 250 would be good. 300 max, so 250 to 300 to do in a range. And
let's put the maxes on this just so we.
Perfect. Yeah. And then let me just do this. Hold on 1 second. I guess the homework for me, I can help I'm just going to do a quick estimate, but the final cost of all the insulation and stuff. And I would say estimated for insulation, foam, sealant, because that's required to keep it, would be all of that should be 1,000. Interior build out, airflow, I would say for the interior build out, the shelvings would just be about 3. So 300. And she doesn't have installation labor. So for that, I would say it takes about 16 to 20 hours. So if we say 20 hours at a contracted rate of 50, that's 1,000. And I think 50 is actually low from a contractor standpoint. So maybe we do 75. So, because then if it does take, I'm trying to think, 20 hours should be 2.5 days. And it could be faster if they had 2 people, right? It's kind of, but.
Was she talking about, I'm trying to keep straight on my working group. So she's talking about having Kenny Gill and his students build it out to also give them experience.
Correct. Cool. Yes.
So that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
I think that builds on
and I think that's a strong labor budget, and they could put that back into their program, right? And if they can't do it, we can contract somebody else with that dollar amount. It's a pretty easy handyman project. So and I say that if you've done it, it's
you
easy,
know what you're doing,
right?
Well, if you're YouTubing the whole thing.
So do you want me to put $1,000?
I would do 1,500.
1,500.
And then all of the stuff that you have for, it looks like the battery bank, all of that would be in that cost. And then maybe an additional, whatever the additional battery would be.
Yeah, I think the battery was the most expensive part of that. And I think, if I remember correctly, the solar panels themselves were like $300. So it's like if we're doing an additional battery, maybe 1,000, maybe
Okay.
1,500 on the safe side for that.
Okay.
Just gonna put that somewhere. So we're at 9,100.
Okay. So will you send that to us, Amanda? I'll do some like a little bit more detail, double checking of the dollars, but maybe we can send that to Georgia if you have the ability in email to send that to her, so she can see what we're thinking. And then, and the benefit of it too, it's not, we've got to remember, it's not just like supporting Georgia and Sustainable Living Project. This is a need that we've heard from other growers too. So I think it's a great way to spend funds. I would maybe put under miscellaneous hardware like a $300 buffer just in case, right? For like, and we can dig in a little bit more into the actual. But what are your thoughts based on budgets and where we're at?
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the max is 15,000.
Okay.
So
okay.
I put it at 10 because we wanted to spend 10, 15, but we didn't want you guys to be like we have to spend 15. But if you have $15,000 worth of stuff to do, that's great. I would suggest with this project, because we do want it to like benefit the rest of the network too, putting something in there saying that, you know, you at least have to have a trial period of letting other people use it, or include that there's a shared lock, or that it has to have a code so that you know that other people can access it, and Georgia doesn't end up trying to meet everyone at the farm to be like, oh, so then we don't want to create more work for her, but make sure that she has that's part of it.
Within these hours. So an MOU of
something,
the equipment. So I think that's really good, is that we could do what the MOU looks like for the equipment purchase. And we can make it where it's like with her feedback, like the number of, like you can drop off on these days between these hours. And then there'll be a lock on there. And when the conversation I had with both her and Dee was that would be easy, right? Like they work together already. It's easy to get in and out of SLP. So I do think, so if we can keep the trailer under the 10, right? So it's 9,000, then with the remaining budget, we can look at a potential another project. So another project that was brought, Dee asked to meet with me in regards to food production. And she's interested in launching a CSA in her community. So we talked a lot about what that would look like, and she'd be interested in doing an aggregated CSA as well. But she really would need just a small refrigerator, right? So she doesn't need like a mobile refrigerator. This refrigerator would need, I think her goal was 15 boxes. So she's in the process of looking at that, looking at location, and maybe submitting a proposal on the CSA. So I gave her some ideas within partnerships and drop-off locations, and she want to have everybody pick up at her farm. So we went through a lot of the ifs, ands, ors, and then I connected her with Tanner, who has a really strong CSA program, so she can get some feedback from him on what it actually takes, how much. So we may have a little bit of additional budget to support some of that if she does submit a proposal to us. So, and we talked about the labor costs and all of those things. So she said by next Friday she would submit something. So we can kind of to look at that. I wonder, does anybody have any updates from the other working groups on like what they're up to, just so we kind of make sure we align?
Yeah. So Food Access is really focused on this healthy neighborhood store. And so they actually have another event next week on Thursday. If anyone is interested in attending, Amanda came out to the last one. And it's at the Discount 2 Meat Market on Waters Avenue. and I'm pretty sure the event is posted on the Homegrown Hillsborough platform. But they're basically trying to get local growers into this neighborhood store because Sulphur Springs is a food desert, and most people shop at this discount store as their grocery store, and it has produce, but we want them to have local produce. It's also kind of expensive, so they're also trying to get them to accept to do the application so that they can accept fresh access bucks, and kind of so people can double up their money if they have SNAP. And so trying to get the store owner on board with we have to do the application together, like we'll help you, trying to get him to do that, and then to figure out a way to get our producers into the store. So either having them drop it off or he does like a pickup, because he usually gets his produce from San Juan. And we're not totally going to replace his produce,
Right.
but having a way to have it an outlet for our local growers, but also giving people.
And
Right.
from a budget standpoint, have they decided what they're trying to use their dollars for to support that?
So they're mostly paying for produce right now, and they're doing these events where I think they're pretty much monthly at this point. They're doing like a cooking demo at them, and then getting people to kind of show up to say, hey, would you buy produce from here if they had local produce, and kind of just trying to get people on board because they're having, the store owner is just not quite like, it's not in a normal like way that he would normally get produce. So it's a little, he doesn't understand like that we can't tell you exactly how many carrots you're going to get or exactly what they're able to produce. So just trying to get him on board. So right now, most of their budget is going to those like events. So they're paying for produce, and they're giving away the key ingredients of their cooking demo.
And their cooking demo, they're using partner produce, like from Homegrown Hillsborough.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're buying the produce and then giving away those like key ingredients and kind of letting people pick what they want. Because originally they were going to pay for the produce to be in the store and then let the store owner sell it, because that's what they did at the other store. But he just still isn't quite like understanding. Like we can't quite get it in the store yet, so we're trying to get people to sign like a letter of support, basically, to say, hey, we do want this here, and show him that there is a demand and people will buy it. And once we can get them set up with fresh access bucks, then that should be a bigger incentive too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just trying to get all these things to work out together. Food production is actually working with Janine. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what program you're going to do with them.
Sure. So we're talking about, for food production, is creating kind of a spin-off of the Cultivate Your Brand, and we're creating an actual cohort for homegrown members only. So it'll be exclusive, kind of tailored to our food producers within the homegrown community, and it'll be like a 14-week cohort where we go through and talk about how to promote yourself and promote your business, promote your farm, promote your market, and bringing people to your events. So not necessarily cutting out the retailers, but figuring out ways for you to raise your revenue without, like feeling you're stuck, or so just going through how to increase visibility online, through social media, through digital marketing. We're also going to talk about like creating community partnerships through media, not partnerships, but media appearances, PR. Like we're really going to dive deep into these topics. So again, it's specifically built out for a homegrown community, and so yeah, we're excited about it, and that will be funneled through my company. And so I'll just be bringing the curriculum to the members, and so they'll have a lifetime access to like all of the content and
awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, so their like goal was just to make food production easier for people, and part of that included like educational classes, including marketing. So we did the mini grant last time with Janine, and it was really successful. So that was kind of was like, well, this works. And I think they do have like another project to fit, like, do the rest of the funding, but they're kind of like, let's do this first, get this figured out, and then
And see what they have.
yeah, and see what's up to do there. I'm
Because
trying to remember
what I'm thinking is they have what's left, because
Mhm.
the idea is how do we get them to produce more to support the demand that's going to
It'll
come from the marketing.
Right.
So with the need of increasing production, if those growers are participating in the cohort, do they have a plan for increased revenue, right? Like, so are they going to be able to grow more to support that? Because our second phase was then using these same producers to put produce into our mainly herbs and some produce into bars and coffee shops and restaurants, right? So within the marketing side, that could be a huge component of telling the story of, hey, we found these 3 local restaurants or bars, and they're going to buy all their basil from this local farm, and we're going to tell that story start to finish. But what do they need to be able to grow more of that basil is maybe a good way to exhaust the rest of what we have to use by September, right? September, and what they have to use, like almost that combined effort of we have 4, whoever's participating in this, and plus, maybe if they don't have the time, so I think about SLP, if she doesn't have the time, okay, we know she needed $1,000 for the plastic for the hoop house. And if she does that, that allows her to grow 300 heads of lettuce a week, right? If we get our aquaponics back up and running. So I think that that might be a good conversation to have, but with food production, and say, hey, we maybe can put some from us and then some from them. And that way there's a plan in place to support the increased revenue,
right?
the capacity.
Yeah, because that's going to be it. Because, I always say, like, I can drive people to you, but you're going to have to take that accountability to keep up with the demand and to, be able to see it through.
Yeah, did you think that through?
So there's a section in the, within the curriculum where we talk about building capacity, but I think it would be a really good idea to kind of think beyond that and really giving them some like tools.
Yeah, like what are you going to grow? Like we're marketing. What are we marketing that you're growing? Okay, so that's you. Like you're an expert in growing these beautiful flowers and Tulsi basil. And so our marketing is going to be focused on getting you to sell more of that. So how do you grow more of that? And keeping it small for them because it becomes very overwhelming.
Yes.
And maybe it's like 3 or 4 things I'm the expert at, and the 3 or 4 things that this one's an expert at, this one's maybe not. So I think that there's a lot of value in connecting the two, especially in supporting them in the increased production. Because that's what I was talking about with D is like the reason why CSAs are amazing is that money is loaded up front to the farmer so they don't have to pay for labor like ahead of the harvest, right? And that they can pay their team with that CSA and buy their seeds. So if we can look at that and almost give them that 20% or 30% as a grant of this is your seed costs, your labor costs, you need a couple new raised beds, your materials. And having them build that out. I mean, we've talked about that, and I think we had gone from, getting a list of what all the growers can grow to the growers are going, I need some financial support to be able to grow more. I need irrigation. So I like the idea. When will your cohort registration start?
Well, we're working out that detail right now. I mean, I'm hoping very, very soon, in a couple of weeks, but I know there's a few things that they're working out in the back end, and I know Monica's also involved too. So hoping to, start that process very soon.
Cool. So I think that even without attending the cohort, I'd love to be able to come in or somebody from our group come in and talk about that piece of it of like, this is going to be amazing, but the reality is, you can create a brand, but if you can't keep up with the demand, your brand will be tarnished very, very quickly. So how can we help you grow and tell the story of you growing? And that's the beauty of it. It's like Homegrown Hillsborough's investing in this, and now we have the marketing tools to showcase and highlight, which is the idea of the whole group.
Yeah.
But we want to set them up for success with
Definitely.
ahead of time, right? With materials.
And I think getting the right people in, because there will be, it's limited space. So, we're trying to keep it small and intimate, 8 to 10 people. But it's also going to be like selecting the right candidates, because there are so many people are in different phases of their business.
Mhm.
And so it's going to depend on, like where they are in the process and who's going to get the biggest bang out of their butt. Because obviously, if you have someone who's just getting in there and maybe they don't have revenue or anything, it's going to be a different experience than someone who's maybe been in it for a couple years and they've developed, whatever. So I think that's going to be a big part of it, is just kind of selecting folks who are at a place where they could really like concentrate on it.
Right.
Because there's going to be homework. Like, it's not just, they're not just going to like sit through sessions. There will be homework to have to go and be able to apply the teachings to your business.
And you have time, because you're trying to grow everything. So now if I'm going to shift and put the hat on that I'm going to grow my business, who's going to be growing my food?
Yeah.
Like that's a tough balance right there. And that's why a lot of them aren't doing marketing, right? Because they're in that we got to grow food, we got to be the marketer, we got to do all that. So I do think this may cause them to think back and say, okay, if I'm doing this class to raise my brand, to raise my sales, who's going to replace me in those 5 to 10 hours it's going to take me to do all that homework? Because that's where I'm at right now, right? Like, and we don't think that through. We think we're going to do this and continue to
force
this.
them to do that.
Yeah.
Because at some point you're going to have to decide. It's an investment.
Yeah.
And, so
we can help them with that.
Yes,
that investment.
Because we know it's going to probably be like a barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they haven't thought about it, this is going to force them to think about it. And maybe that's how our group can come in and set them up for success, like you said. So, yeah. Good idea.
And the reason why I asked when it was starting was then if we are able to pitch this to those in food production, the working group, plus those that are in the class, which I would imagine there'll be overlap with there, I would think. So we can really work with them to say, okay, like who's ready to increase their capacity and what do you need? And those are just very mini grants, right? Like they're not going to need it unless it's like plastic for a greenhouse, right? Or I need a full irrigation system. And that might be the answer, right? Which we do have. The great news is we have some funding to support that. And then it's also the labor side. The labor is the big part. So who are they going to hire? How much is it going to cost? And like how many hours do they, who they're going to hire, how many hours they need to know how much it's going to cost. Because labor is the biggest thing, right? When you pull yourself out to go do development stuff, the work doesn't get done at the farm. So who's going to do the work at that farm? And we can support with that, which is beautiful, right? Because you said it was a 14-week cohort. So maybe that's kind of like during that time we're able to support and again, I think that there's the beauty of telling that story, which is what you're doing, right? So there's a really big benefit of telling the story of how and the investment and the building into these local growers and why are we doing it? Okay, because now all these restaurants are following them, and now we can tell the story about the restaurant sourcing from the grower in their neighborhood. And I think that aligns a lot with what we're seeing, and I think that will drive a lot of support. And it's a lot easier than doing the markets. So one of the things we had talked about is the growers, doing a market once a month. Well, with this program, maybe they won't need to because people will be coming to their farm because the marketing is so strong. So I think we've kind of really shifted from which is what we do, right? Shifted and pivot based on what we're seeing the needs are. So what are the thoughts online? Yeah, the new.
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. So I think you missed it in transition. So I asked, I don't know how much you had heard or not, but so I'd asked kind of what the other groups were spending their grant money on. So one of the, so food access is really focused on the healthy neighborhood corner store. Yeah, and pay using that, pay for produce and the cost within that. And then do they have any additional funding to support increased production for when they increase? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, that's what, because if
They're
we're,
not maxed out yet.
Okay.
They're getting closer.
if we're relying on them. So then Janine is doing a marketing class. Did you hear that part? Okay.
When I walked in, that's what she was talking about.
Yes, for the food access group. Food production, sorry, production. So my response was, how are they going to respond to that new demand? So if they still have funding available in food production, let's invest what we might have available after Georgia's proposal for the shared mobile cooler and be able to support them. So with what they have and what we have, we could support with some infrastructure type things and labor to help them increase their production. And then we're ready for the fall. So
No, this needs to happen before September.
end of September. Well,
Get the money spent. At least like the money needs to go out.
Which-
We don't have to be.
which would be easy to do for them if they submitted it's one of the growers said if we solicited, like if you know people who've said, I'm interested in attending your cohort, you say to them, okay, so maybe in just a quick meeting of like, do you have what you need to increase production? No, I don't. Okay, so here's what we need from you for our working group is a proposal of what you need to increase production, and we can help you with that. Is there one over here? Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll go sit over there. Is there one behind that desk? Maybe you can sit
And I think that these things versus I think we still have the event, but we look at the event after these things have taken place.
So part of the registration, I think even one of the questions, we can even build in a question similar to that. So, we can start narrowing down or identifying people who would be good candidates for that. And we can get that information early.
Yeah, and I'd like to send it to Dee and Georgia and Nick very specifically, because they and other growers that I think Parcel would be like they're not small, like they can grow more like quickly. But I do think if someone's investing the time in the cohort, that means they're really dedicated to improving their sales and generating more revenue. Our goal was a 20% increase. So within that, so if we say a 20% increase and they weren't selling anything, that's easy, right? So even if we say $100, now they're selling 120 a week. That's not that much. But in reality, if you're only producing $20 worth of stuff a week, but I know there's definitely, we have both Dee and Georgia who have been very involved, and I'd like to support their initiatives and their programs and others as well.
Yeah.
So I've already talked to Dee, we've already talked to Georgia about it. I think we need to revisit with Georgia. So we did go through, we put all the kind of dollar amounts in for the trailer. We can send that back to her and then ask her very specifically, what do you need to increase your growing capacity? Like another proposal number 2. And then I had a meeting with Dee and I kind of walked her through what a proposal would look like and how she would submit a proposal for her CSA, which would increase her sales by much more than 20% and would be guaranteed. And we talked about everything about how to acquire customers and like who to go to as a partner, because maybe she's a nonprofit, so maybe there's a grant where the boxes are $45, right? CSA box is not cheap, so if we'll say $40, and now she can accept fresh access bucks, and now it's $20. Or she can work with Tampa Family Health Centers, and maybe a couple of their doctors are buying it, and they do like a buy one, get one. I told her I don't know. I also mentioned Tico to her as a way to potentially apply for some grant funding for very, very specifically the CSA project in she's in she's East Tampa. So I think I love her idea, and the 15 boxes when we did out the math, like that's not very cumbersome. It's a great start. It'll allow her to continue to do her other things. It'll allow her maybe to employ somebody a couple hours a week. So she's working on that now. So she's already kind of working on that. So I think the next step is definitely Georgia. And if there's any other producers that we want to very specifically reach out to that have space to grow more and capacity to do that, or with some help, they'll have capacity to do that. I think that that's probably our next step. Have you had any specific interest yet? We haven't opened it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we haven't even opened it up, but Georgia did share it on the platform, and I've had a couple people reach out to me like individually. It's just like, has this started yet? Like, I'm interested. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Yeah, it's coming. So I can, and those two individuals, I think, are newer to the platform, to be honest. I'm not familiar with them, but I can engage and see what their situations are.
And if they're, they might be a product versus, and if they're a product, then who are they sourcing their food materials from? Like, how can we cross collaborate? But I think even with Dee and Georgia submitting that would help us get to our budget. And I think that we could easily get that done by September. And the event, maybe we look at doing the event after they've grown some more stuff, right? And using that in that next phase to highlight the partnerships. So.
And we will, so part of this too, it's not part of the grant, but I am going to do another Cultivate Your Brand Forum, like 1-day event. And we're going to use that opportunity to celebrate the graduates.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be in late October. And so it'll be an opportunity for the participants to go in and kind of talk about the success that they've had, or like just their experience with the program. And maybe there are some success stories that we can pull from that. We're going to use that opportunity just to kind of like highlight that, and hopefully, because I am trying to build out capacity for this and bring in a new class of,
Awesome.
folks who want to go through the cohort. So that's kind of the longer term, plan for it. But it would be a really good idea, maybe like giving it some time for them to start seeing some of that success and putting together kind of like a little mini summit, or maybe even pull it into like our, the Homegrown Hillsborough Summit to say, hey, this is like some of the success we're seeing,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd love to have that at the conference. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
It would be great to see. Like, we'll probably at this year's conference in November there will be something with the working groups.
Yeah.
So being able to showcase what you all did this past 2 years would be great, or a year and a half, I guess.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
And I think having you doing the marketing side will help tell the story, right? So our working group won't really necessarily have to go out and get like videos and all that, because it'll exist, right? And we'll just have to edit and figure all those pieces out. So I think that as you're going through it, just really keeping the lens of, and I know you do marketing, but the lens of the Homegrown Hillsborough, like collaborative, kind of behind the scenes. So you're working with entrepreneurs, but kind of simultaneously this marketing of what's happening in the background is kind of highlighted to support that. It just, I think it highlights what Homegrown Hillsborough do. Maybe it'll help them get more grant money in the future, because people love videos. And we can keep going. So I do think that Georgia's proposal is really strong. I think we send it back to her. I'll challenge her to meet with Kenny, and I'll take that follow up with email of, did you watch the video for the build out? Have you worked with Kenny? This is kind of what we're giving you for a budget. Take a look at it, double check it. Like, we did some of the homework for you, but just double check that. And then let us know, because ultimately she'll be responsible, or her team will be responsible for getting it done after the check is written, right? Mm-hmm. And then who wants to work on like an MOU for like just an overview, like we were saying, this is a shared space, at least for the next 6 months.
Yeah, whatever timeline you want to put on it, at least to give it a time.
I would say a year, like as a shared space for a year.
Yeah, I'd be willing to work on the MOU. That's kind of up my alley. Stuff I do at the city, so I'd be happy to work on that. But I do have to go, ladies. I have to hop off for another meeting. So I know that the next meeting, we have it on the agenda that it's on Juneteenth. So if you guys later on decide that you're moving it, or I know we need a location, just send me a text so I can update the meeting invite on the
Okay,
platform.
perfect.
Thanks,
Okay,
Amanda.
cool. Thanks, guys.
Oh,
Have a
it
good
is
day.
on Juneteenth.
Yeah, which is a holiday, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why
And I know you
I
guys
put
are
it on the
looking
thingy.
for a new location, and that's going to be hard. If the ECC's, I'm assuming they're closed on Juneteenth because we're closed on Juneteenth. So
Yeah, I don't think we should do it on the holiday. So we'll
Yeah.
have to.
yeah, so just send me a text and let me know what you guys
Okay.
decide, and I'll update it.
Perfect.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Bye, ladies.
Thanks.
I would say
Bye.
I'd like to go to the June 26th. I'd like to go the week after versus the week before. But let me double check my food policy advisory council meeting. Hold on one second.
I got it on the agenda too to revisit
Okay,
our
perfect.
location.
So I
So
think-
you won't forget. Yeah.
So finalize farm to table event and details.
Yeah, I just
So
like if we don't want to.
yeah, I mean, I wish Monica was here because I wanted to talk to her because I know that was like a major part. So I don't want her to like. We spent a lot of time kind of talking through what that would look like. But I do think that this is a little bit. This is what has to be done before we get to that, right? Like we have to be able to tell a story. We have to have producers producing things, and we have to have them have a space to put it. So maybe we'll pause the farm to table and then networking events.
What's just something that you guys had on the last one that like maybe you would do a networking. I don't know if that was the same thing.
That was under the farm to table.
Okay, that was the same
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure. I just threw it on there. Okay, so I'm just gonna say tabling, events.
And then you can maybe discuss the collaborative partnership with the marketing. I know that's more in notes, but because that came up after the agenda.
What is your collaborative
Partnership with food
with
production or increased capacity.
It's kind of funny, like when we were talking about this, I'm kind of like, it kind of seems like these would be things that the ups, like their group would be doing what you guys are doing and you would be doing what they're doing. But it's the mission creep of Homegrown Hillsborough. Everything we're doing all kind of goes together.
Yeah.
So like once I started talking about it, I was like, yeah, I guess this kind of would have made more sense. The other, but like I guess it doesn't really.
Yeah, no, I think that
It doesn't really matter. It's like we're all working towards it.
Yeah.
They're all intertwined. Yeah.
Exactly.
Economic development
Like Food
is-
Act is probably going to use that trailer as well.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Everybody's gonna end up using it. Exactly.
You know, it's just nice to have, like, I know we're looking at, like, there's locations that might have refrigeration, there's this, and like bigger places, but what can we do right now to support the need, right? Like, if Elizabeth calls Georgia and says, I need 30 cases or 30 bunches of collard greens, and she has to harvest them all in the morning, and Elizabeth's picking them up, and they're not refrigerated, and they haven't fit, like, that becomes an issue for supplying, because you get wilty greens. Elizabeth's going to be willing to work with her. Another restaurant's going to go,
Yeah, never mind.
never mind, right? Yeah. So I think that this is just such a tool. And they said that they needed this tool. They kept saying that. So I feel really good about that. So then we can go into the.
I do think that we need to consider how the sharing is gonna happen
Mhm.
and then who has priority. Because let's say that Georgia needs to go and feed, but somebody else needs to do something else.
Mhm.
That's a conversation that needs to be talked through.
I agree.
I love the idea of collaborating, but things get really complicated when there's many owners in one space.
And that's what, so as Amanda does the MOU, we can provide her that feedback. I think that's a really important thing about.
Definitely, especially if it's a trailer. But we were kind of talking earlier too about we're not sure if she's going to be able to move it right away, so it might be a stationary trailer for a while.
Yes.
And then maybe she'll be able to get enough revenue from having refrigerated space. She can buy another trailer that moves.
Yes.
Or we show
fingers
that
crossed.
there's a demand and then the next grant cycle,
Yeah,
there's a
there's
second trailer going somewhere
Yeah.
else, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe something in the MOU about like it needs to be stationary for the first year so that it can be a part of that MOU could be that it has to be shared so you can't move it. I don't know if that might be a deal breaker for Georgia or not. I don't know.
I don't think
so.
so.
That could just
She's
be
still using it. It might just be conversation, right? Because then she could essentially just load up coolers in the back of a regular trailer
that's true.
that like they've been climatized or
It's just more for storage.
Yeah. And maybe she works it out that the other groups don't need it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And she says, we'll empty it every Friday and I'm going to use it on Saturday for our farm. and it's going to be available for you Monday through Thursday to bring your stuff. So then we can, and maybe that's the benefit of her being the coordinator with the different people, or having the farm stand that's open a couple more days a week. So yeah, we can work through that. I think that's really important to have very clear, and it's only a short time, right? So then after a year, we can write it in that then it would become usable by however
It's
Homegrown
more up
wants
to her.
it. Yeah.
Thing.
So
We can't change
Also,
it.
this is like really big thinking, but it would be cool if the things that are stored, and if she's going to market on Saturday, she could sell those things.
Other people's stuff.
I don't know. That's
Yeah. Well, that's,
I mean, that could be part
that
of it
was
too.
part of the conversation,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the extra stuff. I mean, that's what we do, right? So, you know, we buy it, and so she, you know, they may do consignment, and however they work that out, I can help build that out with them when we get there. And I do think that there's making sure everybody has very clear.
Yeah, very clear.
Yeah, and it's a test, right? So I think putting those clear lines and then learning from them all will be very helpful.
So you're just gonna work with her to add those to her proposal, or just?
So we're gonna have Amanda work on an MOU,
Okay.
and then we'll review the MOU and maybe and then I think we'd have to have a meeting with who's going to be using the trailers. So my guess is, based on what I've heard, it's Dee, Georgia, and Nick who've already worked together for CSA type stuff. So if there's anybody else that needs to be included, but maybe we talk to Georgia first, and then we can go in and look at, hey, this is the MOU, kind of review it with everybody, get their opinions and feedback, what they think may or may not work based on what they've already done, based on locations, things like that, and then finalize it. And we definitely can get that done by September.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, and we can. Kenny goes back to school that first or second week of August. So if it wants to be a summer project, or if he wants to do it as like a build-up project for the school,
That'd be great.
awesome.
I'd love to see that. Since we have time, do we want to kind of write out some of those like MOU points so that we can send them to Amanda? Just the ones that we've kind of said, just so that she doesn't have to go from zero.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
You know, I also have some templates that were shared with me. I'll go through to see if there's any that are like Google Market specific. Sometimes that verbiage, and I learn from other people. That's a good thing. Right in, you're like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I would just send those to everybody. Well, just because you're right, you don't think about certain
There's things
things.
you don't think, and then when you're in the middle of a situation, I always like it when people share more than one would write.
I agree.
Learn from your experiences, please.
Like, Elizabeth, we do have an outlet over here. I was covering with my chair.
It's fine.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Here, let me move this a little further, just in case. Okay, so we had talked about, like, specific,
Shared space.
so like specific times, or like, I don't know, like, how do we say that there needs to be like an agreed upon hours? I have a feeling that Georgia will say, like, you can just come.
Yeah, agreed upon, drop off
Okay.
times.
Can we call like open hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Like there needs to be some type of shared. I would advise using a lock with a code
Mhm.
versus, or like some kind of, at least a keypad.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So that losing
So that
keys
everybody
and
has
sharing
a
keys
specific
and
code, and you know
right.
who use what code.
keypad.
And now there's apps.
That's true. Yeah, but just even like spending a little bit more money on a lock so that you know who's entering and who's using it. Each person has their own code, so you know who's accessing. Should we
Like ownership of, is the assumption that Georgia will be the owner, or like, is that something we should probably also kind of like clarify out?
I think that Georgia is the host, and Georgia, that 1 year is kind of that where we're putting that limit, is like, you have to share it for at least a year. Because we can't like repo it or anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're not gonna, and what are we gonna, there's not really much we can do,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But like, she at least has to give a year of sharing.
Support.
Yeah,
Got it.
so say that we, you know, make sure it benefits the network, and hopefully it will work very well, and
And we have a
and we'll
pilot.
continue. Yeah, so this is kind of a pilot. So yeah, I think Georgia would be the owner, and she's the one taking the like liability of having it on her property and stuff. For sharing with network partners. It can still be limited though to how many people can use it, but we specifically do want other partners to use it. Limited space. Okay. So there'll be agreed upon open hours, and if Georgia is fine with 24 hours, that's fine. So there'll be a keypad for shared entry. What other, do we want it to say that it needs to be stationary, or like agreed upon that it's gonna, like, you can't just remove it without telling people?
Yeah, I mean, I think that falls within the agreed upon
Okay,
open
open
hours.
You can just put there, that's what I was gonna say, just like including moving the trailer.
Okay.
I do think it would be cool if she could take it to the market,
Yeah, I think so.
but Nicole is right, it does get really heavy when you put produce on it.
Yeah.
I've had that experience with our pallet jack. You think
Right.
everything is like a superhero, and then when you go to pull the pallet, it's like, oh.
Especially, we would do it with water. My
Yes.
powered pallet jack to try to put the water up.
Yes.
You knew it was an old one when it was like, is it gonna put this pallet of water up?
The other day I had to then put it down and come around on the other way and pick it up because it was just a very tiny incline, but it was enough where the pallet didn't want to move.
Okay.
So now if that happens to you, just come from the other side.
That's the secret. Okay, good to know.
Oh my gosh, the things I've learned in this job.
Yeah, I'm sure stuff you never knew you were gonna need to know.
Listen, you should see how I drive that pallet jack.
Oh, yeah.
I walk next to it and everything's like, what in the world?
I love that.
Or driving pallet jacks.
That's funny.
The trailer, let me see. How are we going to address the space? And I say that just in ways of like, everybody is, like if there's space, great, but if not, you have up to 10 crates per producer or like, because I don't know how many people exactly are gonna be using it, but I know that we continue expanding our cooler and immediately after we expand it, we outgrow it. Like,
It's full, yeah.
almost immediately. It's like, it's expanded, we no longer fit in there. So I don't know what would be feasible. What I've been picking up from Georgia is about 5 or 6 crates, 46-liter crates.
So maybe we can say like
So between 5 and 10 per, more if there's space.
It
but
depends on the
also-
size of the trailer, but maybe just having a like space agreement so that like maybe if Dee's side is empty, Georgia has to ask Dee to use it. She can't just put her stuff on
Exactly.
it. So like have some type of
Flex
have some
space.
kind of language
Yeah.
about space.
okay.
Because if I'm harvesting thinking I have all this space and then I get there and it's
Right.
full,
Right, then
I'm
you're
harvesting.
then you're kind of at a loss.
Talking about harvesting, you wanna see
Like
some naked
designated
pottery.
space usage.
Users must agree to changes. Okay. Okay, I think that's very wise. Okay, language and space use. Maybe even like labeled shelves or like
Yes.
label the space.
No, seriously, yes, because
So you forget, you say, oh, this is.
I remember when I was a flight attendant and everybody had like their cabinet and you touched like.
Oh yeah, somebody else's stuff.
This is
Flight
yours, don't
attendant
touch it, and it
too.
was.
Learn
It's
something
like,
every
this is your
day.
like one thing and, so it's important, labels are important.
Yes. That's a good note.
Let me see, what else can I think of the experiences I've had?
Right, yeah.
Any like food safety or compliance
So the
stuff?
compliance
maybe
is that things are not supposed to be on the floor, it's
Oh, yeah.
supposed to be 6 inches off the
You
floor.
are.
But I don't know if necessarily in a trailer, also you're not supposed to put it rammed against the wall for like circulation of the air.
Yeah.
But because it's a trailer, I feel like it's like a fridge, right?
Yeah, it's not, it's
Okay,
a
it's not
different
the same.
It doesn't need
inspection
to
requirement.
circulate the same
Oh,
way.
correct.
Because it's like a fridge, just bigger.
Yeah.
So maybe something about temperature control though, so like temperature needs to be
The
like
Coolbot,
it tells you.
yeah, so the Coolbot, you can do the Wi-Fi through an app
If she doesn't, maybe a daily temperature check, right? Like somebody just checking the temperature. So the CoolBot will tell you what it's at. And you can, if she has Wi-Fi on the farm, there's an app that you'll get a notification if it goes. I mean, the good news is you're not, the dollar value of the items in there isn't going to be extremely high
Right.
if something happens. But I do think that daily, like temp checks or some sort of temperature monitoring would be really good.
And like she needs to tell everyone if it is down for a certain number of
Correct.
hours or whatever.
Correct.
So like notification, is there like a number that you know off the top of your head?
Like there's 35 to 40.
Okay.
Well, but it's
for a
produce.
number of
Oh,
hours.
well, produce, we want to keep it on higher.
Like, so 45 would be the like ideal, 45 to 50
Yes,
probably
it
for
doesn't
ideal.
burn. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny that temperature danger zone, she went right into it. She's like, this is it. You got that right. Check.
The safe service.
Yep.
So many years it takes. I am the one person at the parties that after everybody eats puts the food away.
Yeah.
I used to ask. I don't ask anymore. I'm like, the fridge.
Yep, nobody's
Where's the
getting
food?
sick
In the
today. Yeah.
fridge.
Yeah, most people get food poisoning on like Super Bowl Sunday because the food's out all
It
day and
just
they don't even
happened.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay,
my
so
sister-in-law, anyway, but
yeah, especially
going
after
back
4
to
hours.
this, also, like Nicole said, we're mostly just keeping it cool. It's
Yeah.
not like it's meat or dairy where you
Okay,
have
right, yeah,
to
it's
follow.
okay. So that's good.
So I think that's good enough. Just saying
Okay.
that if there's some kind of abnormality in the temperature, that everybody will be notified with enough time to come pick up their items.
Okay. Notification if not in proper time. For others.
What type of communication around, you have your items here, if something spoils, are you gonna come pick it up, are we gonna toss it because trash is expensive,
Yeah.
or like if she's gonna compost it, also that's its own
true.
labor.
Yeah.
So communication around that, like what are the expectations of each person bringing it, because obviously Georgia's gonna watch her own things, but if you left
Maybe
it
they
here
have
and
to
it's
come like a
abandoned,
minimum of once a week if they have
Right.
items in the cooler, right?
Yeah.
Because then if they can take what's old within a week, it's not gonna go bad.
exactly,
And then, I think that would, just a minimum, they're required to do that.
like a weekly visit to their
Yeah.
stash or something.
Cleaning schedule, so maybe we do a rotating cleaning schedule, so once a month, each of them, like, so then the burden's not all on Georgia to clean it, or they get together and do it. I mean, it's a very small trailer,
Yeah.
so it shouldn't be much to clean, right? And we're not putting a ton of stuff in there, so a sweep out and a nice wipe and clean out should, but I do think it's important to just put that on there.
Absolutely. Is it cleaning, disposal, space?
That's a good point.
I think this is a good starting point. We might come back and next time we read it, think about a few things, but I think this is good for now.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll make sure to tell Amanda to try to include all these things. Great. Okay. Do you want to talk about our new? We need to find another meeting location, and I don't know if you want to talk about June meeting first because it falls on a holiday. So I don't know what you guys want to do. You were saying you want to do the next week and
So I would say, I think that I'm just trying to find when my food policy advisor, but it's in the afternoon, so that's fine. I can do both in one day. Yeah, I would say the June 26th date works better for me. It's a Friday.
June 26th.
So that may be a virtual day for me. I know we're going to Orlando for the weekend with Disney, but I
fine.
can probably do like virtual. I can do it.
June 26th at what time? I couldn't at 11. If we can do it at 9, it would be fantastic.
So what about the 12th then?
I'm available on the 12th. That's open. Yeah, the 12th works. Well, yes.
So then, just because it's we'll just do it the 12th then. That way it's a lot easier for everybody, yeah. Let me text Amanda right now, but we gotta find a
next
location.
location.
Do we wanna see if they have it open
Oh,
for the 12th?
Yeah.
Like, just Possibly.
That would just make it really easy that we have this month and July.
Same time, 11 to.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
So will that meeting be here?
She's finding out right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm hungry now. Lately I've just been hungry. So
You've been working out?
All day, every day, lifting pounds.
Yes, actually.
I was telling one of my team, I was like, why am I not thin? And what it is I don't eat that much, right? So I'm like lifting all this stuff and doing all this stuff, and my body's just like, you need to feed me.
And you know,
And I don't eat enough protein.
Sleeping. Oh, is the sleep. Oh, need to sleep more. It's so important for all that. So it's like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got this Aura ring, right?
Yes.
Oh, how do you
And
like it? I've been looking at
I
it.
love it. It really opened my eyes with the sleeping, because that's my biggest struggle. And they give you something called sleep debt. Your sleep debt number. I'm like 11 hours of sleep debt. That's like the hours that you're depriving your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo, okay.
It's worth the investment.
What your body does while you're sleeping is so important, and so you're basically shortchanging yourself.
You are.
Because you can't turn over cells and all that other stuff.
Right. Because it's like restoring, like that. That's
So
what
you
your
said that
body
we should be good here?
restoring.
I just need to officially email them.
If you, it's worth the investment.
And then I'm just gonna put that on my calendar now, and I'll send it to Amanda.
I don't. We used to do it because of the entrance.
So then we can stay here through July.
Perfect.
And
We can look at,
then
yeah.
we can just keep looking.
Jenna, we're gonna change our meeting next month to June 12th. It virtually will be available as well, because of the holiday. So we're not gonna do it on the holiday.
Good.
Okay, June 12th, 26, CC 11 to 1. And I'll just get that confirmed via email. And then we'll be here through July. Do we have any ideas where you want your new space?
Somewhere where I don't have to get on I-4.
Okay.
Elizabeth, where's your office? And I know your office is downtown.
I'm here in downtown.
So what about for you, location-wise? Flexible. I mean, trying to think where it would be. So there's libraries, right, that we've done.
Yes,
We could do
libraries.
Amanda's location too.
Yeah.
So let's wait till we'll wait till June to look at that, because then,
I will say some of the libraries fill up kind of
Really quickly,
fast. Yeah,
yeah.
so but usually the North Tampa Branch Library is really pretty good, which is right by Waters Avenue.
Oh, perfect.
Church, like right
Yeah.
there it's right by Chamberlain High School.
Food production.
Yeah,
is there.
yeah, they meet there, and it's a great space, and usually I can get
It's
the classroom. Yeah.
is that one convenient for everybody?
Nothing's convenient for me in Riverview. Nothing's convenient for me. But it's fine. I had to go to one of their meetings, and it was fine.
Okay.
And it's a great space.
Yeah, the North Tampa Branch Library, across from Chamberlain.
Yeah.
That one is just an easy, nice library, big parking lot.
Yeah, and parking's not an issue.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly rather go there than.
Yeah.
That is important.
Yeah, downtown is tough just with the parking.
Yeah.
So I like the library, because even you can get there early work and stay late
Exactly.
and work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I would like. And then I can print stuff there if I need to.
Yes.
If I,
She already did the
Oh, wow, she's fast.
invite. She's so fast.
It's so crazy, you don't realize that the hurricane still affects people. I have a friend who is traveling from Pennsylvania and she's staying with family in St. Pete, and her in-laws, so her sister-in-law's parents, their house is still completely like they can't use it at all. She's like, I'm going to be parked there because they lost everything in the hurricane, but because they must be right on the water. So it was just very interesting because you think, where
It's long gone.
But you know what I don't understand about that is the morning after the hurricane, we went outside and just like did the stuff, right? But my understanding was that if you had extensive damage, you can't touch it until insurance comes. So where do they think people are living?
Right.
Like what? Like life must go on.
Right.
I don't know if I would have the patience to wait for the insurance.
Yep. Okay, so you sent that email.
Okay, awesome.
Anything else we need to cover today?
Can we talk a little bit more? I know that Nicole wanted to wait for Monica, but can we talk a little bit more about that event?
Mhm.
Because I still think we need to have some conversations in the background and in between, because inviting people and it takes time. And I want to make sure I have the right understanding before I reach out to Nick, because I know he's like a wealth of connection for resources with restaurants who are willing to follow us on these endeavors. But the idea is that we would have restaurants come and have growers and then kind of just formalize the introductions and hoping that out of their purchasing relationships will take place. That's like the general idea, right?
So the idea was to have over time, yes, that, and there was other, like we had thought about doing like multiple events to showcase what the growers were growing. But yes, ideally that was kind of the thought of the event, was to try to highlight what they're growing, get them to be able to connect, and strategically invite those growers.
Yeah,
I mean,
that we
the
are
restaurants.
willing to grow what they need.
Within reason.
But kind of after we've had, so the idea of that was going to come after we've had some of those connecting conversations where we already are talking to the restaurants, we've already known what the producers are going to produce. So this is almost like the event where they get to meet the grower, like they've already, so the idea was that we would have already completed some of those pieces before the event. What happened is based on, if you step back and you're going to create those relationships and you're going to promise that you're going to be able to grow this, and we're going to ask the grower to grow 50 pounds of basil, but we don't have a way to get it to that restaurant, or a way to store, or a way to harvest it. So then we kind of stepped back a little bit, and as we were asking those questions with Georgia and Dee, it was like, well, we need this, this, and this. So that became, I think in the last month or so, kind of the shift in the priority. So I think that right now so the event, I think, is kind of a future project for us, which we can still talk about, but it's not something we want to try to do by September.
We're in May already, in Mayo, Junio, Julio, Agosto, September, 4 months.
Yeah.
So, like, I have storage space. If the cooler space is the only thing that's holding us up, if they can bring it to me, I can hold it.
I think that there's more holding them up. I think they don't have the labor, the farmers, they don't have the labor capacity to do more. They need some investment in the infrastructure piece. And I think there's a lot of legwork in creating those relationships with the, so what we have kind of planned with the refrigerator, and what we have planned for Georgia, and what we have planned potentially for infrastructure support to increase production, the event may happen in that next grant cycle.
Okay.
So I think that we'll be able to spend based on these two big buckets. So big bucket one, infrastructure with refrigeration. Medium-sized bucket two is the productions, food production support based on what they tell us they need to grow more, irrigation, all those things. And then next phase would be restaurant connections, store connections, and then the bringing them together. So I don't think we don't have to get that done.
What should we be working now between today and the next meeting in June?
We need to work with both Dee, Georgia, and any other grower that's going to be participating in what we're kind of doing. So we had mentioned the growers that are maybe going to sign up with Janine to be able to support them as they increase. So I think that the two big things that we have to do between now and the next meeting is really look at that MOU and get that kind of finalized. If we get it finalized before the next meeting, then we can maybe send that out for feelers, right? With conversations. So scheduling a meeting with Dee, Georgia, and Nick. And the only reason I'm using those three is those are the three that I keep hearing that are engaged and already doing it.
Right.
So I think that there's the MOU, finalizing that, finalizing the budget with Georgia. So getting her to really reach out to Kenny. So I think that it's Georgia's proposal. I'm just going to write myself note because if I keep saying this, I'll forget I need to do those things. To Kenny, and final request. Then it's emails about what infrastructure, if we say 20%. Needed increase capacity by 20%. I will be working on, and maybe we can look at it with Dee. I challenged her to really build out what that CSA would look like, gave her some resources, gave her some people. So I think that there's a follow-up with Dee as well. In her CSA potential, like what does she need to build out that CSA? Because then we still align with our goals of increasing production by 20%. Okay. We're giving them the tools to increase the production by 20%. So we might not get production increased by 20% by September, but they'll have the tools to do it for that next growing season. And so those are, I think, the three main to-dos.
Was the one for, I was listening as I was writing it, the one for D is the one that you said maybe a smaller proposal from her?
Yes, yeah, so smaller proposal from her, and then we kind of, that's why I asked what everybody was working on in other groups, because if production does still have some funding, maybe it's, we can put it together, and it's all infrastructure and labor support, right? Capacity building, which are the two hardest things. Like you get program support, we could probably get DCSA completely paid for through a program, right? Over time. But sometimes that, as you know, the infrastructure and the labor. So if we can support them with front loading their infrastructure and labor, where they know their soil's paid for, their seeds paid for, their irrigation's paid for, and I have 50 hours of labor that I get to use for this project.
I always ask how the grants never want to cover this.
So yeah,
things are gonna do.
How's it gonna get
right? And who's gonna track it and take the pictures and all the other stuff you want? Like it makes no sense to me. So yeah, no, that's a good idea. Okay, so
do you need any help with
it? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say please let us know if you want to delegate anything, because that's not, I know. Amanda's working on the MOU.
So yeah, so then I'm gonna, so the things that I will definitely take, because I've already started, I'll work with Dee on that, her CSA proposal. If someone can send and work with Georgia and Nick, so about what their infrastructure, very specific, different conversation than the trailer.
Okay, sure, I can do that.
And then
I can help identify additional
growers. So maybe we try to find 5. Okay. So we have 3, so we need 2 more.
Okay.
Because even if we give each of them 1,000 or 1,500, right. How much do they, does that align with what they have left? Do you know, for production, right? So if we say 10,000 for the trailers, we have 5-ish left. Does food production have leftovers, 3,000 to 5,000? Okay, perfect.
Is Nick one of the growers as well?
What is that?
Nick is one of the growers as well as a connector. Okay. So Nick, Georgia, and 813, which is D.
Yes. Okay. And then I could still, just because I've been, or if someone wants to send that email that Amanda just sent us with the costs to Georgia and just say, hey, here's kind of what we came up with for the cost. Your next steps are to verify with Kenny that he can do the build out. I mean, that's a simple email. I don't mind sending that email. if someone can take over, if you can take over with Georgia and Nick, just an email of,
About the infrastructure.
yeah, as our goal is to help you increase production by 20% or more. In order to do that, to support programs that that will be launching in October, November, what infrastructure support do you need, including labor, realistically, right? So it might be like a phone call conversation but send me a breakdown. And maybe you have them send it to see where their heads are, and then we can kind of consult them on that. The backside of it is like, okay, great, you submitted for 10,000, but let's pare that back. Like, what does it really look like? We need you to grow rosemary, basil, arugula, and something else, right? Like keeping it very, very simple. And I think kind of along within that, what would they be producing?
Okay.
So within that 20%, what crops would they produce with that 20%? So it's crops, infrastructure.
Okay, that's right. And what are these the people who would be using the shared refrigeration, or this is separate from that?
This is,
because I have new growers that would use shared refrigeration and ask what support they may need for growing infrastructure.
Yeah.
What they will be growing.
Yeah. And then it's very specifically.
Right now we have 3. But we're hoping to get.
We're going to try to identify
so
2 more.
Like if you want to write 813 SLP and what is that name called?
Artistry.
Artistry. I knew it was something with the tree.
Yeah.
And then +2, I guess.
Yeah, and those are ones that genetics could identify.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Awesome. And then
I think I might put a ball in next year anyway.
Yeah.
About starting to think about bars and restaurants and
yeah.
Because if he can start those conversations, it's so funny.
Yeah.
So much of what we do is our relationships. The conversations take a long time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you say something to somebody and they're like, "You're crazy." And a month later, I was thinking about what you said.
Yeah, like, oh, good.
Yes.
Well, basil is no joke. It's very expensive per pound.
Yeah.
And the issue is like, this is prime product,
Yeah.
right? So,
Fresh is locally
and
grown.
like, I just think of sorrel hibiscus. I have 75 sorrel plants. I have people who are like waiting for it to be harvested.
Wow.
So, well, it's through marketing. Funny. Through marketing, I had 3 different Jamaican chefs reach out and say, next year I will buy every piece of your sorrel.
Yeah.
Not even kidding.
start for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
for a product line.
You find your niche market,
But that's really important within, we talk about that's what they need to do is we need to help them identify their niche market. And Dee sounds like she wants to do that CSA niche market, right? Maybe Georgia, because of her location, what does it look like with the zoo partnership? There's a couple bars inside the zoo. There's a couple bars in the, so.
That would be
That's
great.
what
Blind
we're
Tiger
doing.
right across.
In the cohort,
Blind Tiger's
yeah.
right there. Yeah. Could Blind Tiger use rosemary to make fresh rosemary? Like their syrups, right? Versus
Syrups,
using
yeah.
Monin. And there's definitely, and I think that because it becomes overwhelming. So if we can narrow it down to 3 to 5 things that they want to grow, and we can help them with that, this.
You can get really good at it because you're focusing on the one instead of trying to do everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the idea, is getting them to kind of start small to generate some revenue to hopefully sustain their operations a little bit. So if we, so if we are able to provide them with 50 hours of labor, so 10 hours a week for 5 weeks during planting season, however they break it down, might be more. One, you're creating a job within the food system, and 2, hopefully that return would be able to pay at least for that person's payroll. And that's the way we want them to start to think, is like, and I think of mint, like a huge bunch of mint, that's $5.
Yes.
So
like a little tiny.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying the new ones that they're bringing to the store is ridiculous because you used to get, like you said, a bunch, but now
You don't
it's
even
like
get that.
plastic.
Yeah.
yeah.
Little plastic and there's like 3.
Yeah.
And when people come to us, I literally, and we're on tangent, I like cut it, and it's a bunch like this, and I charge $3. I probably cut $50 a mint a week, just random. People come and say, "I want mint." We have a fresh cut basil, like we have a fresh cut herb list, and sage and mint and basil and cilantro. It was
To order.
and it's
To order, yes.
but it stores really well too. So I get, Tanner just gave me 20 bunches of dill, and people go crazy because they're not getting that little sprig.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's
Because
fresh.
no one
So
has
I think the
a-
restaurants would really go crazy. I think restaurants or bars would really go crazy. Even the garnish, like I think of how much they probably pay for the rosemary garnish that goes into some of their drinks. So that's that idea of the event. But when we really stepped back, it was like they still don't have
all
what
the
they need
infrastructure.
to do that.
Then one more question about the labor. Is this a position we're creating for students potentially to take on as paid interns, or?
I think that'd be up to the farm. I think that'd be up to the individual because they'd be the ones hiring them and doing that.
But aren't we giving them the money for the 50 hours of labor?
Yes, we are.
So then I think we should have our hand in there somewhere.
Okay.
To see, because what if this person wants to pay $25 an hour and somebody else is paying 10?
So we can put that in the market rate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what if they just want to pay themselves? Like, what if they don't want to hire someone else? Like, if they just
But
want
if
to.
the idea is that
Yeah.
now we're freeing you up so you can attend the
Yeah.
homework,
Mm.
you can't pay yourself and you can't be in two
Yeah.
places at the same time. I'm sorry, I just played them.
No, that's
Yeah.
no, that's fine. That's a good.
I
I
didn't think about that.
yeah. I just know sometimes
No,
like everyone has different situations, you know, or someone might already have someone that works for them, so they can just already kind of have a rate or whatever. I don't know. It might vary based on the people. So I don't know if we
And
want to put something
experience.
too specific, but maybe we should have something.
range.
You know
Yeah.
how Monica had that meeting, it was a while back,
Mhm.
about the work paid student.
Oh, yeah.
program.
Yeah,
That's-
a federal
how
work
she
study,
was
yeah.
asking everybody to put together like a job description
Yeah.
and like an idea of what to, that's what I was thinking of.
Yes.
Okay.
And even if we just had a range, these
Yeah.
are the acceptable salaries.
Yes.
You know, and obviously we're trying to get you to have 50 hours. So
Right.
if you pay $50 an hour, you might only have 10. We need you to have 50 hours. I don't know, just
No, I
put
think
things out there
that's-
to think about it.
I think that if they're submitting that labor is a need in their proposal, then who is going to fill that labor? So if it's them and they're saying, hey, if I can get paid, then I can actually go to this and I can spend 20 hours a week
I
at
don't
my
have
farm.
to go to the Uber this week. Because
Yeah.
I-
Correct.
But then I think I would like to hear how that's gonna.
Yeah, no, I agree.
gonna work.
If they put labor in, I think that that's part of the proposal is justifying what that labor is doing.
Mhm.
So what is the labor doing marketing? Is the labor doing cutting? Is the labor doing planting? What very specifically is that team member going to be doing and for how many hours? And then we can really look at their proposal and give them feedback on it.
And
And
that would be part of the needs that then Nick, Dee, and Georgia are gonna identify with me when I call them.
yes, because they might not say payroll. I mean, I would assume they all would, but they might not, right? And then, but I think if they put that in their proposal, and I'd like
You
to
don't want me
see,
to suggest it to them as one of the things
I
that
would
they can
suggest
do?
it, yeah. Yeah.
Labor, yeah, totally.
Because I mean, it makes them, they might not be thinking about it.
Exactly. That's what I
Yeah.
say. People don't think about it because a lot of times it's not included. To say like include labor, we're willing
Yes,
to pay for
yes,
it.
Because
definitely.
we're used to just doing.
Well, and that's what I talked with Dee about very specifically is like, what is the CSA, like, so you're at the end of it, back it all the way to the beginning. Let's
Yes,
start there.
yes.
And then let's build it out from there. How much is it going to take to put that seed in the ground? Because you're right, we don't think about it. I
And
mean,
the time
I'm
it
still,
takes, you know what I started doing with myself is timing me doing things, because I'll delegate it to somebody and then I'm like, why did that take you 50 hours to like
Yeah.
whatever? And I'm like, wait a minute, it did take you X amount of time to do it. They're newbies, it's
Right.
gonna take them a little more, but it's just a good idea to have. This usually takes this amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the actual value of that is. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Anything else before we do our meeting evaluation?
So we know, she already sent the 12th. I think we're good there.
Like, I don't have any between January and today. That's okay. All right. How do you feel, Nicole, about participation? Did everyone participate?
Yes. 5, sorry.
You're good. Elizabeth?
Yeah, fine.
Jen?
5.
All right. Achievement, did we accomplish what we wanted to do?
Yeah, I think we pivoted and shifted. I'd love to get Monica's feedback on, so if we need to schedule anything within that, because I know we talked very heavily about the event. So if there's anything, sorry, that's a tangent, but achievements of 5. I just want to make sure we're following in line with.
5 is. I think it was very engaging in the conversations.
Yes, I think so. What about listening, refocused, and mindful?
Yes, 5.
That's 5.
And scheduling. Did we use our agenda and stick to? Do we stick to our agenda and use our time wisely?
Yeah, we did. I did the whole thing 5.
All right. Great meeting, guys.
This was a really
Super productive. Yeah.
Productive meeting.
Awesome.
Let's keep the momentum.
Yeah, I
All
think
this
that
stuff done.
I really think getting that shared trailer stuff squared away will be a huge win
Yeah.
for the network and
Yes, I think so.
and an infrastructure investment, which is great.
Yes, absolutely.
Exciting.
Yeah.
It is exciting. It's exciting to see everybody getting excited about it.
Yeah.